Auburn loss hurt. There was no way around it. We fought all the way back and had a chance to win the game. And then came the play I couldn't stop thinking about. The fumble. One moment, one mistake, and it cost us. For days, that play replayed in my head. I kept thinking about what I could have done differently. Could I have covered the ball better? Should I have made a different read? No matter how many times I replayed it, the result never changed. But one thing that helped me was my teammates. They never let me hang my head. They kept reminding me that one play doesn't define a season, and if we wanted to accomplish our goals, we had to move forward. There was no time to dwell on the past. I knew the responsibility fell on me. Not just to make plays, but to make sure this team responded. And with Missouri, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Texas all coming up, there was no time to feel sorry for ourselves. The toughest stretch of our season was here, and how we responded would define everything. So go ahead, take a seat, grab your popcorn, because trust me, things got crazy. First up, Missouri.
Missouri Tigers, as we'll see, the number 11 team in the country, the LSU Tigers, taking on another SEC rival.
We opened the game exactly how we wanted. First play, coach dialed up play action. I dropped back, took a shot deep, and my receiver went up and got it. Big time play.
Exactly what they got.
I wanted to silence the crowd early, and what better way to do that than take the top off the defense on the very first drive. Then it was time to use my legs. You already know if I see daylight, I'm taking off. Coach called the read option. I hit that edge, and it was to the crib. Them street lights is on, so you know where I'm going. I'm going to the crib. Next drive, our defense gave us great field position, and I took advantage. I turned the corner and got into that end zone again. My second rushing touchdown of the game. Everything was clicking. Till it wasn't. I made a terrible throw, and Missouri made me pay for it. Pick six. And just like that, the game was tied 21-21. The momentum completely flipped. We came out in the next drive and went 3 and out. Now the pressure was on. Then things got even worse. I took a shot, got hit as I threw, and the ball ended up in the hands of the defense again. Missouri's defense was flying around, and they were letting me know about it every chance they got. Hit after hit, coach pulled me aside and told me to settle down and relax and trust what I see. At this point, we were down 28-21 and needed an answer. I didn't like what I saw downfield, so I put my head down and used my legs to pick up a huge gain. Less than a minute left in half, I tried to take another shot, but the Missouri's DB made a great play on the ball and the drive stalled out. Luckily, our defense came through with a huge turnover and gave us life. I found my tight end for a touchdown, and that was a huge response. We were heading into the locker room tied up. If you thought the first half was crazy, the second half was a whole different level. I dropped back, I peeped the man coverage, and I already knew where I was going with the ball. My receiver had a step, and I let it fly. Touchdown. And just like that, we're back on top 35-28. But Missouri wasn't going away. Every time we scored, they had an answer for it, but we knew it. The game was tied again at 35, so we went back to what was working. Coach called the read option. I hit the edge, and once I got into that open space, it was over. Touchdown. Number 6 on the day. Then our defense came through with a huge turnover and took it to the house. Now we're starting to create some separation. A few drives later, I connected with my tight end for another touchdown. That's 7. At this point, it felt like every possession was ending in points. The score was 56-49 with about 30 seconds left. And yeah, you could call it unnecessary if you want, but after everything that happened against Auburn, after the turnovers, after the doubt, I wanted to make a statement. I got the ball to my running back out the backfield. He took it all the way in the end zone. Touchdown number 8. When the final whistle blew, we had survived an absolute shootout. 63-49, I finished with 221 passing yards, 269 rushing yards, and 8 total touchdowns. Not a perfect game, but it was exactly the response we needed at the Auburn. And now with our confidence starting to build again, it was time for Texas A&M.
Knew this was going to be a tough task ahead of them. So much speed, so much fire in both of these offenses.
Night game in Death Valley. Y'all already know the atmosphere was different. The stadium was rocking, and it was only right we give the fans what they came up to see, which is a show. We came out clicking offensively, spreading the ball around and moving it up the field. I gave my receiver a chance down a sideline going out of bounds to make a great catch, and I ain't gonna hold you, he made me look good right here. My boy went up, secured the catch, and got both feet down. What a catch. I even took a big hit out of bounds early, but I made sure they felt me too with the nasty stiff arm the next play. A few plays later, I connected with my tight end and we struck first. Touchdown LSU, and the crowd absolutely erupted. The defense came up with another stop and gave us great field position. At this point, we were starting to find our rhythm. The line was protecting, the receivers were making plays, and the crowd was absolutely rocking. Everything was starting to click. We put together another solid drive, and we got into the red zone. I found my tight end for another touchdown. Just like that, we were up 14-0 and in complete control. Next drive, they had everything covered downfield, so I trusted my instincts and used my legs to pick up a nice game. And coach dialed up the play action. I dropped back, didn't like what I saw downfield, so I rolled left, got outside the pocket, and once I turned the corner, I saw open grass. I knew I was going touchdown LSU. At that point, the offense was rolling and Death Valley was rocking. At this point, we were up 21 and starting to take control of the game. I was using my legs to keep the defense honest, getting around the edge and picking up big chunks of yardage whenever I had the opportunity. But Texas A&M wasn't backing down. They was flying around, hitting hard, and making every yard feel earned. Then I made a mistake. We put together a great job. We get deep into the red zone. I tried to force a throw that wasn't there. The Aggies made me pay for it. Interception, and just like that, we gave them a little bit of life and momentum. We didn't let the interception shake us. The very next drive, I dropped back, didn't like what I saw, and trusted my legs and took off. And I got us all the way down to the 1 yard line. First and goal, I make a simple read to the flat, and he catches the ball and gets out of bounds. Then second and goal, coach took me out for a play, but the offense still managed to finish the job, and we go up 28-0. We up 28-0 at this point. We are in full control. 3rd and 9. I hit my running back out the backfield, and he gets the first down for us. A few plays later, I made one of the best throws of the game, fitting the ball right into a window on an out route for another touchdown. At this point, coach felt like we done enough. He pulled me for the rest of the game, and the guys finished the job. When the final whistle blew, we had taken care of business, 35-21. It wasn't perfect, but after the Auburn loss, stacking wins was all that mattered. But now things were about to get real, because next up, we had the number 2 team in the country coming to Death Valley, Georgia. And trust me, this game lived up to the hype. The energy in Death Valley was electric, and number 2 Georgia was in town, and everybody knew what was at stake. We came out aggressive, and I took a shot deep on the opening drive. We didn't connect, but I wanted Georgia to know we weren't backing down. And after we settled in, coach started dialing up some read options, and I was able to use my legs to keep the defense honest. Against a team like Georgia, every yard matters. There aren't many easy plays. You have to earn everything, but early on, it felt like we were ready for the challenge. Early on, we realized Georgia was focused on taking away the big plays. So instead of forcing things downfield, we started taking what the defense gave us. I got the ball to my tight end out the backfield, and we kept the drive moving. Coach dialed up the running back screen. The blocking was perfect. My back got out and space and did the rest. LSU, against a defense like Georgia, every point felt earned. Georgia answers right back and ties the game at 7. Then I make a mistake. I tried to force a throw, and then Georgia made me pay for it. Interception. A team like Georgia doesn't need extra opportunities, and they capitalize immediately. Just like that, we were down 14-7, but I wasn't about to stop being aggressive. The very next drive, I stepped up and delivered a strike right down the middle for a huge gain. We had some momentum building, but on 3rd and 10, I miss a throw and the drive stalls out. Going into halftime, we trailed 14-10, not where we wanted to be, But we knew we were right there. Coming out the locker room, we needed a response. I hit my running back down the sideline. I'm not gonna lie, the ball placement was elite. That play gave us life. Then on the very next snap, I noticed Georgia was in man coverage. My tight end was on this wheel, so I already knew where I was going with the ball. I gave my guy a chance, and he made an absolutely ridiculous catch. Touchdown, LSU, Death Valley erupted. We took the lead 17-14, and at this point, we knew Georgia couldn't stop us if we stayed aggressive. We kept taking shots downfield. First, I connected with my receiver deep for a huge gain. Then I came right back and hit another receiver on the crossing route up the middle. The confidence was growing with every drive. A few plays later, Coach dialed up play action. I delivered a strike on the out route for another touchdown. Now Death Valley was rocking, and we still weren't done. The next drive, I took another shot downfield and connected again. My receivers kept telling me in the huddle, just give them a chance, and that's exactly what I did. And they were backing it up. Every time I put the ball up, they were making plays. Later in that drive, we faced a 3rd and 12. I thought I had the out route, but the defender closed fast and the pass fell incomplete. The drive stalled, but we still came away with 3. 27-17 LSU. At this point, it felt like we had the momentum. We came right back and leaned on the running game and picked up another big game. Then in the red zone, I dropped back, didn't like what I saw, and trusted my instincts. I took off, found the lane, and got into the end zone. Touchdown, LSU. 34-17, but if there's one thing I've learned is you can never count this Georgia team out. They answered with a touchdown of their own. Then late in the game, facing a 3rd and 4, I made the wrong read on the option and got tackled for a loss. That gave Georgia another opportunity, and they took advantage. A few minutes later, they found the end zone again. 34-31. Now the pressure was on. We needed one first down to end it. I dropped back, found my running back at the backfield. He secured the catch and picked up the first, and that was all we needed. Game over. We had just taken down the number 2 team in the country, 34-31. I finished with 319 passing yards and 4 total touchdowns. Without a doubt, our biggest win of the season. But there wasn't too much time to celebrate because next up we had Texas on the road. We were backed up facing a 3rd and 14, exactly where Texas wanted us. I dropped back, didn't like what I saw, and took off. Once I got in open space, it was just instinct. I made a defender miss, got upfield, and picked up a huge first down. The crowd was loud from the very start. Every time Texas made a play, the stadium came alive. So one of our biggest goals was to silence them early by moving the chains and staying on the field. And after taking down a number 2 team in the country the week before, confidence was through the roof, and we felt like we could play with anybody. And just when we started building momentum, a holding penalty backed us up and put us behind the chains. Exactly what you don't want on the road. I escaped the pocket, got outside the defense, hit the sideline, and once I saw open grass, I turned on the Jets. Nobody was catching me. Touchdown, LSU. And just like that, instead of settling for a long yardage situation, we turned it into 6. Next drive, we went right back to the read option. I kept it and put a move on the defender, and for the second I thought I was gone, Texas barely got me before I could break. A few plays later, we found ourselves facing a 3rd and 16, money down. The crowd was loud, the pressure was on, and we needed a play. I dropped back, trusted my receiver, and fired one on the comeback route. He secured the catch, and we moved the chains. Right back to the ground game, and you could tell Texas was starting to have problems containing me outside the pocket. A few plays later, we stayed aggressive. I escaped the pocket, got to the edge, and once I saw nothing but open grass in front of me, I knew it was 6. Touchdown, LSU, my second rushing touchdown of the day. And with every big play, you could feel the crowd getting a little quieter. At this point, we were already up 14-0, playing with a lot of confidence. The offense was in rhythm, the line was winning up front, and we were putting Texas on their heels. A few plays later, Coach went right back to the read option. I made the right read, got outside, and let my speed do the talking. Touchdown, LSU, and just like that, we were up 3 scores on the road, and you could start to feel the energy leaving the stadium. This point, it was 21-3 and we were rolling. Everything was working. The offensive line was giving me time. The receivers were making plays and Texas had no answer for my legs. Every time they dropped back into coverage, I took off and made them pay. Defense had an angle, but I wasn't about to get caught. I got upfield, stretched out, and dove into the end zone. Touchdown, LSU. At this point, everything was clicking, and Texas had no answer for what we were doing offensively. Once again, Texas tried to take away the pass, and once again, I made them pay with my legs. I picked up another big gain and kept the pressure on the defense. Then, on the very next play, I found my receiver for a touchdown. At this point, it was 35-3, and make no mistake about it, we were making a statement. All the talk, after all the questions following Auburn, we came into Texas and showed exactly who we were.
And they're going to put another one into the end zone as they just keep piling points on the scoreboard.
We took care of business in a dominant 42-10 win on the road against Texas. From start to finish, we controlled the game and made a statement. I finished with over 450 total yards of offense and 6 total touchdowns. Without a doubt, it was one of my best performances of the season. But as great as a win felt, there wasn't much time to celebrate because while we were taking care of Texas, another team was taking care of business too. Auburn, the same team that handed us one of the toughest losses of the season, and now with the SEC championship on the line, our paths were about to cross again. This time, the stakes were even bigger, and this time, we get another shot.